wrestling fans, and we are the degenerates who like to watch it. This is Kicking Out at 2. I'm Michael. As always, with me is Tori. Hey, Tori.
Good evening. I
We
guess
are
we
going to
could.
talk
I don't know.
about good evening,
It's like
good day, good night.
right, whatever.
Um, Today we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. Really good show. Really went by fast, but had a lot of good stuff in it. Um, we're just going to kind of just run down the card here, and if there's anything you want to talk specifically about, we'll bring out some more stuff. We started the night though, jerking the curtain with Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho, which was an interesting choice,
I
but
like it.
it was a good match. I mean, first of all, you get them coming out, and the fans are behind both guys when they come out. No matter how much of a heel or how much people are supposed to hate Jericho, as soon as Judas hits, people are singing it.
I
You got
would
all
be.
of Seattle
I
just
want to
singing
go
it.
to. I want to go to an AEW show just so I can sing it.
Yeah, it's it's definitely an
So
experience.
I've noticed they've started opening all of their shows with really good matches, like Dynamite and
Yes,
Rampage. It's becoming a thing, and I'm here for it.
I am too. Like it harkens back. Like I hate comparing them to WCW, but it harkens to me of when we used to start with like a cruiserweight match, like to start the night, and it was just you jumped right into the action. It was
Yeah,
fast pace. It got you off your seat. Um, got you
this crowd was on
unexpected.
fire. This crowd was on fire from the word go, though.
Absolutely. This whole night the crowd was just on their feet, just absolutely. Um,
But no, this
expected
was
for
a
a
great
Seattle,
match. It was a
uh,
great match.
especially for especially for a Seattle group. Like you already knew because we're gonna get Ryan Danielson later in the night. You knew that they were gonna go absolutely insane because that's what they're looking forward to towards the night. Um, so it was a good match. I mean, Jericho is so good, so smooth. Ricky Starks, young kid, young stud, definitely going to be a star.
hundred
You
percent.
know, we we
Future world
just
champ.
we just recorded Raw, and him and Austin Theory. You can kind of like side by
Yeah,
side that of like they're so young and so good already. Just at some point, they're going to be the A and B on their shows at
they're
some
gonna be,
point.
and they're gonna be completely interchangeable as number one and number two in the U.S. at least, if not the world by that point.
Yep. So I I'm not surprised that Starks won. I
Either.
am
I think,
surprised how quick it was because it was just like he speared him and done, like out of nowhere.
but I like that because they're making his spear important.
Yes,
Like if he
absolutely.
hits that spear, it's a wrap.
Yeah. I love the way he does it too, because like everybody kind of puts their own spin on it, and he does something very similar to Bobby Lashley. 'Cause Bobby Lashley rolls through with it, and that's what Ricky does. He kind of rolls through the spear to make it seem like the impact is not the
Yeah,
person; it's after the person. So,
yeah. No, I was a big fan of this match. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Jericho is Jericho. Starks is amazing.
yeah, the Appreciation Society hit the ring after the match, though.
I
Start
like
beating
the cat.
down. Well, I like that. Start beating down Starks. And Action Andretti comes to attempt to make the save. He neutralizes a couple people with a steel chair, but then just the numbers get to him, and everybody ends up getting beat down at that point. We do that spot again of Hager getting someone up into a powerbomb position to go through that table. Um, Always scares the shit out of me. And he turned and he stumbled a little bit, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna break this kid. Don't do this.
Well, and
Um,
I think Jake and Ricky are both experienced enough that had Jake started to go, that they would have made it look like a Hurricane Rana or something,
mhm.
or something to that effect to cover the mistake.
Yep.
Um, and I think Jake is a professional enough that he would just sell whatever happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got a little scared too. I'm not a big fan of them doing that on the apron. When you
it,
have one of those longer ramps, you want to do it up there, and he's standing. Okay, fine, but on the apron like that,
yeah, it's very small real estate in the area, and one wrong move, like we saw it with um who'd they do it on? Um, because it's gonna bug me.
but while you look it up, I did like the return of Action Andretti. I like that they're making that win of his seem very important
Yeah,
and
and
thus elevating him as well.
yeah, and getting him into the mix, especially with someone the caliber of Jericho. Um, so
Some of the caliber of everybody in the JAS.
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like the entire group is a bunch of studs. It's very reminiscent to me of like an evolution of like you have the old stead of Jericho, you have a dude that's kind of the now and Hagar, and then you have the two future guys kind of hanging out there. Um, the the spot though, to the point we were talking there, like it's scary, and it's like I think about when they did it to Eddie Kingston, and
Yeah,
like he just dropped him a little too soon, and so like just the back of his head really went to the table, and it's lucky he didn't, get seriously hurt through that.
right.
Um, I know it's a spot they kind of like because it's devastating and it's a big move, but is it really worth it to do it right there?
I
I get
would
it's the
rather,
hard cam and it's right there in front of everybody to
right.
see, but do it on the
If they're
apron,
gonna,
do it on the ramp is what I was trying to say. Like do it on that long ramp, like you were talking about. Like give yourself some more real estate to do that with, rather than just
that
dropping them straight down.
or figure out a way to do it like two tables next to each other, something to have something in case it doesn't go perfectly.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest because yeah, I cringe at that one like I do anytime Brian Danielson takes a headshot.
hmm Um, a couple of things about this match. So first of all, with Jericho losing it, commentary does bring up this is the second time in a row that Jericho has lost
Yeah.
to younger talent, um, 2 times in a row. There was a spot you and I were texting back and forth about that I wasn't a fan of, just because I think a spot like this should be meant for something different. Um, and that was the baseball bat to the face that knocked
I
him out, and then he kind of hulked up afterwards.
well, the
He
funny
could
thing
have
is
passed out to the walls without the baseball shot and done the same spot. To me, that type of spot should be if he's going to lose the match. Like he got popped in the face. That's the reason he lost because he got hit in the face with a baseball bat, and we can pull that off as that's why he lost. He couldn't overcome that. But like it's almost like they were doing it for a big hope spot, which is fine. But we could have done the hope spot without a baseball bat to the face.
yes, and the biggest problem was when they were doing the checking his arm hit the mat for the third one. That should have been a
Oh, it
wrap.
did. It did. It hit the ground and then
So
he got back up and
and so I kind of hope Jericho brings that up as an I shouldn't have lost this match.
hmm
Run it back.
yeah, do it
But
again.
I agree. I mean, I think they did it to build Ricky as more of a I can overcome these things and a baby face. But I agree with what you're saying.
And then one thing it'd be a shame if we don't note the new arena,
Yes,
like the
the new
new
setup.
look. Starks looked like an utter star with the new lasers, with the new Tron. Um,
I know you hate the pose, but it looks so good with that the new setup.
it did look good. I'll give him credit on it. I still am not a fan of the pose. However, he looked like a star. Like
Yeah,
it absolutely was wonderful. I've never been a fan of the two tunnels. Like I get the logistics of it is that you have a heel side and a face side, and neither of the
right.
twain shall meet. I get it, but having one area that they walk out from, so one spot that the camera's going to look at, and it makes it
Right.
easier to make those beautiful looks of, like, in this case where he just looked like a star.
True, but I think they're still gonna come out from different sides, like, coming out from one side or the other, which I'm okay with. I like the tunnels. I like the 2 tunnels. I think it was a really good visual when they first started, especially in where Daly's place,
Yeah,
through the pandemic, because it set aside who was face, who was heel,
right.
you know? And they
And I get
had
that point of it. The only time I've ever really enjoyed it per se is Impact back in the day had two tunnels, but it was literally two tunnels, like one on either side of the ring. And so
yeah.
faces came out of here, heels came out of here. To me, like, I look at it and go, okay, you have these two tunnels, but they're basically side by side. So you're trying to tell me there's a wall in between the hallway back there, and they're not seeing each other
Well,
on the way to the ring.
right, and I also think that times being what they are, social media, the internet being what it is, that the kayfabe of it is not. Because I mean, how many times do we see like Darby and Brody King and somebody were at like Nintendo America? Why are Dark? You know what I'm saying? Like those kinds
Well,
of
yeah,
things
like
are, are
you had Ethan Page's toy hunt videos, and there
yeah.
was like three videos after the turn of 10 that 10 is on there with Uno.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
so,
I
yeah,
just it's one of those things that because I will give AEW all the credit in the world to their social media stuff or what they allow their people to do is huge for them.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a huge thing. It's a huge addition and in a way to get. I mean, it's kind of the Zack Ryder effect. It's another way for them to get their people over.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. It allows them an opportunity to get themselves over. Because you have situations like Ethan Page not too long ago, you couldn't find him on TV, but like he's undeniable now. And I think part of
Right.
that is to do with the fact that his YouTube got so big that they're like, all right, well, we have to capitalize on
Well, and he was relatively unknown. He ran around with Scorpio Sky, and then they put him with America Top Team, and he's basically been on TV since.
it. Yep.
And that's been going on what, a year and a half now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ish. So yeah, I we kind of got off track, but yeah, I the the new tunnel is the new setup is great. Like you said, it made Ricky look like $1 million.
Yeah.
The spot I'm not a fan of. I the table spot just I'm scared of when it goes badly.
Yeah. Because I mean that's the fear. The fear is what happens when he steps out too soon or too far.
Or he
You know,
starts to
hurt.
lose his grip on somebody,
Yeah.
or
Or even just like I said, just like when he was like he had him facing the ring and then he went to turn and there was just a little stumble of his feet and I was like, oh God, don't don't fall.
I would almost rather they do that from a turnbuckle
Hmm.
where he's all he's got to basically do is turn his upper body towards that turnbuckle to get him and then bring him
Yeah.
over and go down, because then his feet are already facing the table. He's not having to do that turn. It's
Yeah.
just upper body, get him from here. He's
Well,
got the core strength. He's got the upper body for it.
and even with as strong as he is, and being that they always do this, like it's always a fresh spot for him. I've yet to see him have to do it after having a match.
Right.
Have him do it from inside the ring and just toss him over the ropes
Es-
like Mike Awesome
Especially,
used to do.
yeah, especially if it's somebody that he can, like a Ricky Starks.
Yeah, because to that looks even more devastating. Like you just
Right.
chunk this dude over the top rope onto the
Right.
table.
The flip side is if you're going to do that, you need to put two next to each other so you don't miss,
Right. A little bit
because
of
that
slide
happens.
there.
I'm going to grab a drink. Keep going.
Okay. So that leads us to Hangman Adam Page. We get a health update from him. He's joined by Tony Schiavone in the ring. And he basically is just saying that because of this last scan, he's still not able to compete. But if he stays on track, Doc has said that by next week in Los Angeles, he's more than able to be in the ring with Moxley. He just has to stop getting out there and trying to get into a fight. Moxley interrupts him, and so then they come face to face. They kind of just went back and forth, kind of waning and waxing against each other. We started talking about the lariat situation, and Moxley saying that he put an exclamation point on the segment with a warning that he was going to do the lariat again, basically just threatening to take him out. It's to me, it's a disappointing segment to have Moxley come out there, and that's just because if you want this to play out the way you're wanting it to play out, then he can't get into a fight with Moxley. So Moxley being down there, you immediately get they're not going to be able to touch each other. So why are we doing this?
Right. But watching them fight the urge to fight,
Yeah,
I think made the segment better.
I could see that. I just to me
That's why
it's
the Moxley stopping himself and kind of stepping away, and Hangman starting to take his coat off and then not. I just those little things are why I was fine with Mox coming out there. Otherwise, I would have agreed with you.
yeah. It's just I look at things like that and it makes me think of you can't put Taz in a program. As badass as Taz used to be, you can't put him in a program because you can never pay that off. At no point can someone get their hands on him.
Right.
And that to me that felt kind of like this too. Of okay, well Mox can't put his hands on him, or we don't get the match, and he wants the match just as much as Adam Page wants a match.
He could have done something without a fight, low blow, something, pushing him a little bit to try and goad him into it.
Maybe
I think that would have helped.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the body language and the way they reacted to each other, for me, it was enough. I understand what you're saying, but for me, it was enough.
Some great quotes from it. First of all, John, I will knock your dick in the dirt, like that.
Look, there are certain phrases that certain people use when you know shit's about to get real. For women, it's taking the earrings out, taking the shoes off, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For a white man, it's when you say you're gonna knock somebody's dick in the dirt. Like that is the white man equivalent of we finna fight, fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the end all be all.
Yeah, that's almost like hearing that statement happen on a national television is almost as good as "you're a big motherfucker."
I was
almost as good.
Did you see Tony's face when he said it?
No.
Shivani was like, "Oh shit!" He had that look on his face, like, "You just said that on TV, my guy. What are you doing?"
And then, kind of in a retort, Moxley replies, "The only joke I think is funny is that you think that the next time is going to be any different. You little punk ass, or your little punk ass, excuse me, doesn't belong in the ring with me. And next week, I'm going to make sure you don't get back up." So
right,
not as good as dick in the dirt, but
right, but that was still pretty solid. I have to say, AEW letting their people be a little more graphic is fine with me.
Well, and I think part of it has to do with the station that they're on. I mean, I think obviously they're getting a little more leeway. USA might balk a little bit if WWE let them go a little bit with that kind of stuff. I mean, as it stands right now, just there was a holy shit chant not too long ago on WWE, and they kept trying to blank it out. It's like,
so
oh, come
annoying.
on, just let them do it. Like, I get it.
And I get it too,
practices, but it's your channel.
Especially at like the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
So they get to the back. We have an AEW World Tag Team Championship match. First of all, everyone loves the Acclaimed, except for Karen Jarrett, apparently.
Look,
Rough times in the Jarrett household the night that came out, apparently, because she
have
was
you
pissed.
seen have you seen his podcast about this?
Mm-mm, I have not.
I caught again. Twitter has been that's been my go-to the past few days. It's provided me with a lot of entertainment, both politically and wrestling. Um, he was talking about it because he has a podcast with Conrad Thompson, I think it is.
Yeah, the
Um,
Podfather.
right. He was talking about this, and to him, you can tell it's to me. This did not feel like a work. This felt like shoot. It bothers him because he feels like he's defending Karen. But most people don't even people do know the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds better this way.
Yeah, it
And he's big salty about it. And he told Max he had a receipt coming, and I think that's what that slap was at the beginning of the match.
it could be like it's one of those, like, them to bring up the Karen at the time angle in Jarrett situation, like, that's a deep cut
Well,
that he had to dig for that,
yes.
because I don't think either one of those guys were
Probably
watching
not.
wrestling, old
They
enough
probably
to
weren't
watch
even
wrestling
born
at the
yet.
time. But
Well, and Kurt said something about it apparently on his podcast. And Jeff's like, if Kurt thinks I need him to defend me or Karen, he's delusional. Okay, first of all, Jeff, you need to be real careful where you tread here because you couldn't carry Kurt Angle's bag when he was in his prime. I don't care how long you've been doing this.
well, not only that, he could probably still whoop his ass.
Right. I
He won a
understand
golden medal
Karen.
with a broken freaking neck, in case you didn't know.
Right. It's true. It's damn true. Um, I get Karen being salty.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
the line was funny as fuck, but I get her being a little salty about it. I wasn't aware Kurt had cheated. I didn't know they were legally separated when it happened. There's a
Right.
lot of things I didn't know about it. But the line was fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And the fact that it so, like you said, like, we didn't know the behind the scenes stuff. We just knew that Karen went to Jarrett, and we got a storyline in TNA about it, and that's all we knew. And
Right.
apparently, like, it was so good of a line that it made her go, "Listen, motherfucker,
Right.
the reason this happened is because he cheated, yada yada yada."
Like
Whoa, it's wrestling, woman. It's pro wrestling.
so my thing is, first of all, there was a lot of things I didn't know. It doesn't change the fact that I'm still always going to look at it as Jeff Jarrett stole Kurt Angle's wife.
Yeah.
They were legally separated. Kurt had not been living at home for months. Like, she was basically single. The paperwork just wasn't done.
Right.
But that was never I didn't know any of this until I heard the line, saw Karen's response, and then heard what Jeff had to say about it.
Right.
I know this stuff.
And that's the thing. If they would have just left it at the line,
It
then
would have
we
been fine.
still we just think they're referring to a storyline that we knew
Yeah.
about. We didn't need to know about the personal life. We didn't
No.
know anything about that stuff. I mean, I guess she felt like she needed to get it off her chest that it wasn't her fault, and okay, good on you, I guess.
She
But
was big mad. She
which
lived up to her name with those responses.
I don't know if Max Caster heard Jeff Jarrett's podcast, but I'm assuming he doesn't listen to that because he said more stuff in Rap to the Ring that made it even worse. So whatever.
His rap coming to the ring was beautiful. That's bringing up Andrew Tate killed me. I was crying at that.
Now, validity of the statement or not, but he did tweet out that I guess he had gotten a phone call or a text message from John Cena, and John Cena saying, "Hey, you're doing this better than I did." So, validity of the
Really?
actual statement or not, if it actually happened. But that's massive props because Cena, when he used to rap to the ring, Jesus Christ, he would tear people apart. So,
Look, those freestyles he did, no matter where they were, face or heel, that shit was fire every time.
Yeah,
And
like
Max is doing it.
I remember like the last time he was getting booed for it was he did a rap battle against Rikishi. And like after that moment, you saw the turn of like people were just like, "This dude's entertaining. This dude's fun to watch." Like I hate
Well,
him in the
and
ring, but the moment he starts running his mouth, oh god,
right?
I need to listen to
I mean,
that.
the 5 moves of doom, but him on a microphone? Give
Yeah,
me that 24/7. I'm here for that.
and like I'm sure he could still do it. I'd love to see him do it right now. I'm coming there and say something about Roman. Run his mouth. I want to see it. So anyway, um, Anthony Bowens is kind of getting worked over for most of the match. We get the hot tag to Caster, which sparked a good babyface comeback. Got distracted by Singh and Dutt though, which caused them to be ejected. Earlier, excuse me, it's not mentioned here in the transcripts from Bleacher Report, but earlier, uh, Billy also got ejected.
Did you
Um,
see how?
so I saw that. Um, was it Jay? Was messing with him?
Slid outside and just slapped the shit out of him
Yeah,
and dove back in the ring.
yeah. So
Like
that caused him to come in there and
masterclass.
try to get in the ring, and then
Masterclass.
you're out. Um, so then later they do get Satnam and Sanjay, which I like the touch of they made all the refs come out to get him out
Yeah.
because he's a big ass dude. And you
I
can't just say go to the back and he's going to go to the back.
I thought when he started waving, Billy was going to come back. That's
See,
what I thought was happening.
I thought it was too. I thought it was he wasn't going to send them to the back. He was letting Billy
We're going
come
to bring
back
Billy
out.
back. Yeah.
But either way,
Either way, it was well done.
so Sanjay Dutt and him start to get ejected, which allowed Jeff Jarrett to deliver the stroke to Bowens, and seemingly scored the win. Um, which that immediately, like I was starting to text you, going, "What bullshit is this?" But then Aubrey Edwards comes down to inform that Bowen's foot was on the rope,
And
and so
Sanjay pushed it off.
Sanjay pushed it off. So we're gonna go ahead and restart this match. Um,
Did you hear that crowd reaction when they announced the new tag champs?
yeah,
I had if RVD loses, or if Cena wins, we
yeah.
riot flashbacks. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, they would have rioted that absolutely. Um, this is another one of those where it's like I understand the reason for what you did, but to have this just happen on a random Dynamite,
Well, I liked it because she was out there because the other refs had come down to get Satnam out of there.
right?
She goes to get Sanjay, and this happens. So I love Aubrey. I'm a huge
Yeah,
fan of Aubrey. She's beautiful. She's amazing. I adore Aubrey. Um, but I see what you're saying. Like, this is a pay-per-view finish. This is
yeah.
a pay-per-view finish.
That this is one of those where like you want to send folks home happy, and so this is the reversal to that to go, oh, my guys did end up winning, even though I thought they lost. Just it being a random TV episode just seems a weird spot to have a spot like this. This is a dusty finish at its finest of
100%.
shenanigans going on, and oh look,
Oh
look,
yeah.
look, faces win
I
after not knowing.
I feel like this show and next week's show, they have really loaded up because it's kind of the midpoint between their pay-per-views.
Yeah,
So I'm okay with doing something like this. Like I said, next week's show is jam-packed.
yeah. Um, so Bowens ends up scoring a quick win off a roll up. After all the shenanigans happen on Lethal, they win the match. Um, Aubrey got to shine a little bit to the audience, which was kind of fun. Like it, there's always this line when it comes to refs of you want them to be the unseen hero in the ring, but it's also kind of fun to have someone in there that has that personality. I mean, we back in the day. Earl was definitely a big proponent of that. You had
Mike
Little
Chioda,
Nate, Mike
Little Nate,
Chioda,
Mike Chioda,
um,
Nick Patrick,
Nick Patrick, being the
Teddy
heel
Long,
NWO ref. Um, see,
Teddy Long when he was a ref.
when Teddy was a ref, though, I don't remember seeing him as much. Um,
You didn't, but he was there for some of the important ones, and he always had that personality, which is why he got over so well as a manager and then
yeah.
as a GM and SmackDown player.
Um,
So
so we end up going backstage, and we have a Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter uh, promo to talk about Soraya's partner. I feel like we're taking a step backwards with Hayter
I do too.
because now it's DMD doing her talking, and she's the killer, I'm the pillar. Come on, like we gave her the title. She's the
I
woman now. Let's let
right.
her be the woman.
I think we'll get there. At some point, Britt's going to want the title back. So
Yeah,
I think we'll get there. And that match will be a banger. Britt and Jamie will be a great match.
yeah.
Excuse me.
Um,
Did you catch the boss line?
mm-mm.
Britt said, I'm the boss of this division.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to tease this without saying it's going to be
That she's coming.
Mercedes.
Yeah. Um. So then we get Bryan Danielson versus Tony Nese, and I guess it was just, hey, let's pick a guy from the back to have a
Stop.
match with.
Hold on. Hold on. Call him what you called him when you messaged me about it.
About cruiserweight Chris Masters. Um. Yeah. When he first came out in the cruiserweight classic, that's all I could think of. Like, this is just Chris Masters, only like minus 100 pounds. Like,
And 6 inches.
well, and that's just the height.
Age.
But I think this is the match that everybody in the arena was waiting for. Like, we're in Seattle, we're in the home state of Bryan Danielson. So he comes out there. Uh, as much as I joke about Tony Nese, very very talented wrestler, um, easily made Bryan look just as phenomenal as he could be. Um,
And Brian did the same for him. That Niece is a very underrated performer.
yeah. Um, so I mean, we end up with a normal Danielson. Excuse me. I keep trying to say Daniel Bryan. We end up
All right,
with a
JR.
Danielson. Oh God, I think he was WWF champion at one time. Um, we end up with a normal Danielson ending to the match, though. He does the Baracha kicks in the corner, does the what used to be the B plus knee, now is the
Psycho knee.
Psycho knee, which good name for it. I'm good. Then did the stomps to the face into the label lock. Danielson gets the win.
Into
After
the
the match, though,
FTF. He hit him with the regal stretch again.
oh, did he? Okay, I
Yes.
thought he went with the label.
No. He is using the regal stretch instead of the bell lock now.
Good with it.
I
To
am too.
me, that's more painful, to be
It's
honest.
good storytelling too.
Um, so after the match, he got up and immediately called out MJF with an insult heavy promo. The two go back and forth. Um, the American Dragon says he has to wrestle, or excuse me, the champ tells him that the American Dragon has to wrestle every week between now and February 8th. And if he does and wins every match, he will grant him a championship match at Revolution on March 5th. I like Danielson's response because he was just like, no. Which was very confusing at first. But then when he said it, he was like, no, I'm just going to come out here and beat everybody up and wrestle, and then I'll get you on the 5th. Like, he's not making the deal. He's just saying, no, I'm just going to come out here and wrestle and beat everybody, and then you have to let me in anyway. Like, I'm doing it because I'm going to do it anyway. So definitely a good little way to say that. He did say, though, the counter to that is, if I do this, though, I want to have the stipulation. I want to say what the stipulation is going to be, which MJF gets goaded into agreeing to a 60-minute Iron Man match. This is genius.
Yes.
Because if Danielson wins, it proves something. If he loses, it proves something. Either way.
Yep.
So we're either going to prove that MJF is not up to snuff to go
Right.
long game.
I First of all, I was cracking up at this promo back and forth. MJF was very much giving me some Ric Flair vibes with the facial expressions and the yelling and his reactions. Seemed like a very Flair-esque type responses. I felt like I was watching a Flair TNA promo just by the facial expressions, how he was behaving, so on.
Yeah.
The fact that the fact that Brian Danielson brought up MJF's mom.
Yeah. He got a mom joke in there. MJF said, unlike you, I don't get my rocks off by putting my body on the line to entertain these schmucks. So we've had a dick in the dirt and get your rocks off at the same time. Um, Started a little bit of Twitter beef later. He said if Lance Storm and Dean Malenko were to somehow be able to procreate, their kid would still be more charismatic than Daniel. Which
To
Lance
which
Storm
Lance Storm responded,
said, yeah, but he'd be just as good as a wrestler as Daniel Bryan. For me to have someone less entertaining, I would have to have a kid
"If
with
I
the
had if
Miz.
I had a child with the Miz, it would be you." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
Um,
So, and Amanda Huber, Brody Lee's wife, tweeted out, "What we're not going to do is talk about MJF's mom like this. That slander's not acceptable." And Nina responded with, "Yeah, what the fuck?"
He's like,
MJF's
why the
mom
fuck am
has,
why am I trending on Twitter?
yes, she has a solid Twitter game.
Yeah.
She's several times she's been like, "Fuck you, Jake. Fuck you, Max."
Well, and my favorite thing was, um, her and his dad was in the crowd at one point, and they were like, "Yes, he was just as much of an asshole back then."
The signs,
Guess his head was the same size as it is now.
right?
Um,
Yeah, this was one of the best promos, one of the best back and forth promos
yeah.
in a while.
Well, and I love it because Danielson, like, he's a nerd. Like, he throws a yo mama joke out basically. It was just like, all right, I got my mama joke in. Let's get going. Like, he's done. Like, that's what he had. Uh, but so he gets a match for the Triple B on March 5th. So
So stupid.
oh, the Big Berber belt. You
I,
not a
I
fan?
I know what it's for. It's just stupid.
Is
It
what
fits
it
his character.
is.
It's just stupid.
I mean, it's not a spinning R. So
The rated R belt was pretty fantastic. Once he took it from Cena and made it his own, I didn't hate it.
um, I'm still mad we never actually got the Rock Intercontinental title.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Or maybe it was a world title. Was it a world title? I think it was his answer to the Smoking Skull, so I think it was the world title.
The Brahma Bull.
Yeah,
They did that title.
not like on TV. They
Yeah.
made it, but it never.
No,
Like,
he carried it.
did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember him carrying it, but
I'm
uh,
pretty sure.
may have been drunk. I don't know. It
That's
was the
fair.
Attitude Era.
That's fair.
All right, so that leads us to AR Fox versus Swerve Strickland. Um, they tried to explain why we're having this match. They tried. Apparently, there was some beef with him and AR Fox, and I missed it.
I,
Um,
I'm not sure when the beef happened. I thought it was just kind of an AR Fox sticking up for Keith Lee thing.
yeah,
But they also said it was unfinished business and referenced their previous rivalry and mentioned Lucha Underground by name.
yeah. Which is from the notes here in Bleach Report. They bring that up as well, that this was rivalry from back then. I don't remember AR Fox. in
He
Lucha
was
Underground, and so
somebody
now I'm gonna have
else.
to go back and look. But um, good match though. AR Fox is really really good, and Swerve is absolutely amazing.
Swerve is really starting to show how good he is.
Yeah. I think now that he's not, pigeon-toed into a tag team and he's getting a chance to just be himself and go out there and do the thing, he's definitely showing what he can do. Um,
In Lucha
uh,
Underground, he was Dante Fox, a storyline military friend of Killshot, which
he
was
was
Swerve.
Dante. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know. All right, so that makes sense then. Yeah. So the whole idea of that whole storyline is, Killshot, um, was of they served together, and Killshot kind of went towards the evil side, the heel side, and so Dante was trying to get him to come back.
right.
All right, makes total sense now. All right, I'm with you. Um, I mean, if they want to start
This
building rivalries
this
off of
is
stuff that
long
happened
term
in Lucha,
storytelling.
yeah, then I'm perfectly fine with that. Just you got to give me some. Um,
Right.
so good competitive match back and forth. Late in the match, Fox would mount a late comeback attempt and deliver a 450 splash, but Strickland survived that, fought through it, ultimately delivered the kill shot double stomp for the win. Um, I mean, it accomplished what it set out to do, which is get Strickland a good win. Because you definitely can't say anything against him beating AR Fox. Um,
Right.
doesn't make either of
But
them look bad, but
no,
uh,
and some of the spots they pulled off,
yeah, absolutely.
just so good.
It's hard to say that they could have a bad match because they I don't think there's a way. I think they just
Right.
easily were gonna do this. Um, this leads us backstage and we get a very odd backstage segment with Saraya and Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida. Um, so they're talking about who's going to be her tag team partner, and she's hyping it up, and she's like, this is going to be a really big match, and I need to make sure that I have the best, the absolute best that I've ever seen, and I'm here with the best that I've ever seen. And so, Tony, you're going to be my tag team partner. And she's just over here like, what the fuck? Why am I even here?
The look on Sheeta's face was like, and Renee was even like, "The fuck is happening?"
Well, yeah, because then they turn and they're like having their own little conversation over here. Um,
So I'm calling it now. Sheeta is heel turning and taking Tony out,
I could see that. And then she's still got to find another partner. Partner ends
and
up
that's how
being
we end up with
Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Yeah, it still feels like she's probably going to make that that appearance. The only thing that I kind of question about it is that her showing up in New Japan showed kind of very heel vibes because of who she was doing it against, and so
And she can still play the face here.
yeah.
I think she could do both.
Um, so then we get Jade Cargill and Red Velvet versus Kira Hogan and Sky Blue. Um, I guess let's keep riding this train until we can't ride it anymore. Um,
I feel like that's where we are with this. I thought this was going to be Jade's first loss.
I,
I definitely think it's the baddies are going to cost her that first loss.
I don't disagree. I think
It needs to happen sooner than later.
I probably would have bought it more if it wasn't Sky in the match with Kira.
That's fair.
Because I mean, I like Sky. I don't want anybody to
Right,
think that.
right.
But all I think is Cora Jade every time I look at her. Like your AEW's Cora Jade.
Your blue pants. Like,
Hey.
I'm not hating.
It's not
I'm not hating.
disrespect.
I
Just
love
Leva
blue
Bates
pants.
like that. My
I
liberating
love
queen.
blue pants, but
Um,
to an
before the match
extent,
got
it's kind of an unnecessary.
yeah. She's definitely she's like the lower mid, like she's she's the Melina in the in the early days of her
Mm-hmm.
being a diva, and yeah, you're there.
Right.
Um, Prior to the match, though, I forgot about this. The Guns come out and cut a eulogizing FTR promo, claiming that it's the end of Dax and Cash. Um, they
If they're
they faked
if
FTR
they're
coming out, which anybody that can understand how time works goes,
I
they're not
actually
there.
the funny thing is I looked it up because I'm like, could it have been possible? It could have been because the flight time is like 9 hours from
Okay.
Japan to Seattle.
But that's if there's a flight during that time
Right.
frame.
Well, no, I'm just saying that time wise,
Time wise, it could have worked.
I was just curious because I'm like, would it have been possible? I can't even imagine how they would have felt physically.
Yeah.
But
Um.
I definitely if FTR's contracts are coming up and they're leaving, they'll do a loser leaves. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that's what it'll be.
Yeah, and I can see them putting over the Guns without a problem. I mean, the Guns haven't really been on the right trajectory. However, like they're talented. They're two talented
Oh
kids.
yeah, 100%.
Given the right push, and this could be that push. It could be like if they beat FTR, and that gives them something to hang their hat on forward.
They beat
Uh,
FTR, get a world title shot. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see him put the titles on him for a minute.
Kind of reopen that wound of Daddy Ass being with the Acclaimed, and because that did just kind of fall to the wayside. Like you had this big thing, and then
Yeah, well, they moved them on to FTR and brought in Jarrett and Jay for. I hate to say it, Jarrett and Jay, the Acclaim beating them helps legitimize them
mhm, it does.
because it's Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I mean, they've both had world titles. They've long careers. It's a huge
Yeah,
thing.
that's why like I've you always hear people complain about like them bringing in the old timers or the legends. I don't mind bringing them in as long as there's a reason you bring them in. And if you
Right,
brought them in to legitimize the Acclaimed, I'm good with it.
right.
They can't come in there and run rickshaw over the entire division.
I
You can't do that.
100%. Yeah, you can't. It won't work.
Um, so then that leads us to the match though that we aforementioned. So Red Velvet is starting off the match, attacking, preventing Jay Cargill, excuse me, from attacking Joe Hogan on last week's show. Um, so now we're in this match here. You already see a little bit of dissension in the entrance. So Jade starts to do her entrance, and Red Velvet's already walking past her, uh, just getting onto the ring. Jade's like, "What the hell? Get back over here!" So Cargill starts off really kind of showing off what's going on there. Um, he goes to tag in um, Velvet to finish Hogan off, but the aforementioned baddie hopped off the ring apron and kind of walked
And walk.
away. I'm with you. Like to me, again, it's just the core of it all. That's the only reason I didn't see that happening. But this definitely would have been an easy way to get that loss out of the way because she loses in the tag match and it wasn't her fault. So
They had been arguing about it on Twitter too, and Velvet was like, "I've got the whole world in my hands. Like a loss is a loss, whether you take the pinfall or not."
yep. Um,
So to me, I Velvet should have eaten the pin somehow, even if it was a quick roll up. Even if you let Sky take the pinfall, let Sky be the one to pin her. Whatever, you could have used it to elevate Sky. It takes the undefeated streak away, and we move on.
yep. Um, but that's not how it went. Cargo gets the win. Doing again that vicious looking pump kick. Um, Always looks just devastating when she does it. Um, so I mean, it's kind of obvious where this is going to happen. What's going to happen here?
Right.
Velvet's going to turn on her. Whether that leads to a Cargill loss or not, I don't know. Um, it does. It does to me make it so it doesn't need to be as big of a name as we've mentioned before. Because we've said before,
Right.
like if you're gonna have to bring someone in to beat her, if it's a Velvet causes her to lose, that's how we lose the title or lose the streak.
Right.
Okay, that works.
Even if it's a disqualification thing. If it's one of those that she's outside and intentionally gets caught by the ref attacking somebody, it costs Jade the win.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do is Jade and Kiera Hogan have a match. Velvet smacks Kiera in front of the ref, disqualification.
Yep.
And she walks off laughing.
Yeah. Then I mean that immediately starts a program between them. Gets the title off of her. Title can go off and do its own thing for a while. Get Jade out of the picture for a little while.
Even if it's not for the title, just get rid of the win streak
Yeah,
because it makes her matches too predictable.
it does. And at some point, like I haven't went back to count, but like at some point they start kayfabing that stuff. And like at some point it was like Goldberg was at like 137, but he'd only had like 65 matches. Like how how'd that happen?
No, that's true. It's kind of like the Cesaro swing for every half turn they count one. That's kind of how the Goldberg thing went.
Yep. Um, that leads us to the TNT Championship match, the King of Television Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin. We had talked about this match when it got announced, and that we wouldn't have been surprised if Darby went away with it. However, I was still a little surprised that Darby went away with it,
Yeah,
and
he
especially how
took a
quick it
beating.
was, because it was, I wouldn't say a blink and you miss it match, but like it
It
was
wasn't,
dang
but it
close
was
to that.
short comparatively.
Yeah. Um, so like Joe focused his attack on the challenger's knees, and like cut off at every attempt of him trying to get into it. He applied the coquina clutch, and then Allen found a couple of ways to get out of that. The last one being the old, I call it the Brett spot, where he dips back and he basically is using the coquina clutch as the pin, trying to pin him
Right.
down. So then he has to let go. Um, but like he fought through it. It was an exposed turnbuckle, which ended up being Joe's end. He runs straight flat into it, falls. We get coffin drop and ball
Ball
game.
game.
So I mean, easy way for
I
him to
like it.
win.
I I like it because it gets the title off Joe. He can focus on the ROH side of it
Yep.
because I have a feeling that's where he would rather be. Um, I'm not a fan of it the week after he takes out Wardlow, but we're in Darby's hometown, blah, blah, blah. I get it.
Yep. Um, so he gets the win. Confetti falls. Got the kind of the moment that Allen's sitting there with the belt. Sting comes out to join him and embraces friend. Um, kind of get a legitimate moment. Don't get a lot of those in AEW. I mean, it was good to see that legitimate like moment caught on film.
Yeah,
Um, I kind of hope that they eventually split Sting and Darby.
really.
Yeah. I would like to see Darby turn heel on him. To be honest, I'd like him to decide he
Mm,
doesn't need Sting anymore.
I'm perfectly fine with that part of it. I don't think that the fans will let Darby turn heel. I don't. The work you would have to put in for that turn would be huge.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean it just depends on how in depth they want that story to be.
Right.
Um, whether it happens or not, it's still it's a nice thing. Um, I mean, I guess so. It's a great show overall. I think the only thing really you have in
Absolutely.
question of with it being in Seattle, who do you end it with? Because you got the bigger star of the two in Daniel Bryan, Brian Danielson, and then you have Darby. But Darby being like the homegrown AEW
Right.
talent, it being his hometown as well.
Yeah.
I think it was a good thing to do there.
I
Um,
agree.
I do like one spot he did. So like he's been taking little things out of Sting's repertoire. Like when he had the clutch on and they hadn't fallen back yet, him doing the beat of the chest like he wasn't going to give up, like that. That's a good spot for him. I like that. I
I
like him
agree.
taking little things from Sting. Um, I still want to see
And
Joker
that's
Sting at some point, but that's just me personally.
right. No, it was a great show, and like I said, we got to the main event. I'm like, damn, we're here already.
Yeah,
Like this
it
two
definitely came
hours
pretty fast.
flew by.
Yep. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a great night. I can't. Wasn't a bad match. You know,
Mm-mm.
couple of like, why did we choose this guy situations, but
Right,
I mean, it is what it is. Like, you have to have Brian out there. You can't not have Brian in Seattle.
right. You
Um,
can't not bring out Brian Danielson when you're an hour from his
right.
hometown.
So having him come out there, especially with a Tony Nese, is not a bad call. And
Right,
especially now that we're having this almost gauntlet now. So now he has a gauntlet. We're going to see more of these if he's just going to go up against some young talent,
and his
beat
first
them on the
match
way.
is Takeshita. His first match is
Ooh,
Wednesday against Takeshita. That's gonna
that'll
be
be
so
good.
good.
That's
That's
going to
gonna
be
be
hard
so
hitting.
good.
I might be clutching my pearls for that one. That's
There's gonna be there.
whew.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard hitting.
So that wraps up another episode of Kicking Out at 2. Thanks for spending your time with us. If you're enjoying our podcast, please support us. Share this episode, share our channel with others. Follow and hit us up on all of our socials there at the bottom. Make sure to catch up our Kicking Out at 2 TikTok because two middle-aged people on TikTok, why not? It works. If you want
We
to
don't know
catch
what the
up with
fuck we're
us,
doing. Whatever.
yeah. I just learned about hashtags today. I thought that was a pound sign. Until if you need to follow up or learn more about us, uh, find us on youtube.com at kicking out at 2. Until next time, I am Michael. This is Tori, and we will see you on the next one.